My background is corporate learning and development. I'm a fellow at the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, and I hold a master's degree in training and performance management. In recent years, I've focused on leadership development with a brain-based twist, helping people to work with their brain rather than against it. Well, around 10 years ago, I was developing some leadership development for a group of high potential staff, and I started to feel that something was missing. The development programme included all the key leadership skills and theories that you'd expect, but something was still missing, and I really couldn't put my finger on what it was. It took me around 4 years to find the answer. At a coaching conference, I heard a talk about mindfulness and how it was being used as a coaching tool with executives. And what really sparked my imagination was the neuroscience that underpinned it. Apparently, practicing mindfulness could physically change the structure of your brain for the better. And I was hooked. Well, I started studying and researching mindfulness, but all that was available on the web at that time was some really spiritual, new agey type sites and some rather dry academic ones. And none of them I felt happy to send a client to, so I set up mindfulnet.org as a free, secular information resource on all things mindful. About a year or so later, mindfulness at work became a hot topic of discussion, especially on the web. And the main question was, mindfulness in the workplace, great idea, but how? So in response, I organised the 2012 Mindfulness in the Workplace conference, and I wrote Making the Business Case for Mindfulness. Since then, I've taught mindfulness to hundreds of people in the workplace, and my book Mindfulness at Work for Dummies, which I co-authored with Shamash Aladina, has just been published. I'm also working on the 2014 Mindfulness in the Workplace conference, which I'm arranging in collaboration with Cranfield University School of Business, which will be on the 23rd of September this year. Well, in recent years there have been great advances in brain scanning technology. In the past it was thought that when the brain reached maturity it was fixed and immutable, but brain scans have shown that the brain retains powerful plasticity. We now know that the brain continues to change and can develop until the day we die. We are a product of our experience and thoughts, and each new thought or experience can subtly change the structure of the brain. In a number of research studies, scientists and academics have scanned the brains of volunteers before taking part in mindfulness training and again afterwards. The scans have shown some really interesting things. For example, practicing mindfulness can increase the grey matter in the prefrontal cortex, an area of the brain associated with decision making and other complex brain activities. It can also increase grey matter in the hippocampus, which is an area of the brain important for learning and memory. Interestingly, it can also reduce grey matter in the amygdala. The amygdala is our fear centre, and we know that it plays an important role in anxiety and stress. Well, mindfulness has its roots in ancient Eastern practices, but mindfulness as we know it today originated in the 1970s, when a scientist, John Kabat-Zinn, piloted a new approach to helping patients who were suffering from chronic pain. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR as it's known, reduced the pain substantially for patients that doctors had previously been completely unable to help. John's work became the focus for many scientific studies. In the 90s, Professor Mark Williams and colleagues blended MBSR with cognitive behavioural therapy to form MBCT, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, to help patients with depression. MBCT helps people work more effectively with their thoughts, recognising them and choosing how to respond to them rather than reacting to them on autopilot. You know, as humans, we tend to spend very little time in the present moment. To use Mark Williams' words, our attention is hijacked by our thoughts and emotions, by our concerns, by our worries for the future, and our regrets and memories for the past. Mindful awareness is about learning to pay attention in the present moment and without judgment. It's like training a muscle, training attention to where you want it to be, and this reduces our tendency to work on autopilot, allowing us to choose how we respond and react. So in a nutshell, mindfulness progressively teaches you to become more aware of your thoughts, emotions and bodily responses such as tension. I like to think of it as brain training. It's rather like training a muscle, training attention to where you want it to be. And this reduces our tendency to default back to old mental programming, which may not be helpful. Well, many large, highly successful organisations such as Google, Apple, General Mills, Toyota, IBM and BT offer mindfulness training to staff. Because when organisations provide staff with mindfulness training, both parties benefit. The health and well-being impacts of mindfulness are really well researched. They include improved immunity, reduced anxiety, depression, stress and increased resilience. In recent years, researchers are also finding a link between practicing mindfulness and improved personal productivity. For instance, mindfulness can help you improve decision making. It allows you to step back and see the bigger picture. It can create greater creativity and it can improve relationships at work. Mindfulness teaches you a range of simple techniques that help you step out of autopilot and into the present moment. This is achieved by reducing the flow of incoming thoughts, each of which evoke emotions and a physical response within the body, which we're often completely unaware of. This switches down our sympathetic nervous system fight or flight response, which allows our higher brain to regain control. This enables us to make wiser decisions based on present moment facts.